quite a bit looser. Time to install our oil pump gear, and like every Land Rover needs, a case of Vaseline jelly. Welcome back to the Lost Cause Ranch. Once again, Range Rover Camper Day, and I have two gears. Hopefully one bad one and one good one. See if we can get this guy back on the road again, pumping some oil. So it's getting a little chilly. Kicked the heater on for the first time this year. And just comparing the two by feel, the old one is quite a bit looser and much easier to turn. I've got to keep the little fender warm. Maybe it was more for Sasha. She's curled up out here with me. We are back on the Range Rover Camper. Last you guys saw, we pulled this gear out of this cover and we had some wear on that. A little bit there. That's no good. But we got our new guy just showed up, and this one looks much nicer. And just comparing the two by feel, the old one is quite a bit looser and much easier to turn. This new guy is nice and tight. So just the difference between the new and the old there gives me a little bit of confidence that we're in the right direction on our low oil pressure issue. This new gear is quite a bit tighter. The outer ring is quite scored up on the older one here. As you can see, the new one, nice and smooth. But with that guy chewed up that much, it also scored the inside of the cover from that guy spinning around with probably no oil. So what we need to do now is go in and polish those scores out of this cover. Then we'll go ahead and take our feeler gauges and the new gear, put it in there, make sure we're still in spec, which we should be at about 7 thousandths or less of clearance with the gear. So let's hope for the best. So we got some emery cloth here, and we'll just get to smoothing this guy out. Gonna be a little bit of a tedious process, but we're gonna kind of ease into it and try and take the least amount of material out, because I'd rather not have to come up with a new distributor front cover for a late 4.6. These are kind of a rare piece. And with my luck of acquiring parts that actually show up lately, I want to use this one if possible. So we're kind of easing in there. These guys are coming out pretty decent. You can feel them just a little bit yet, but working on trying to get this little gouge out. I imagine that is that chunk of aluminum there. We want to make sure that's all smooth and can't get grabbed by the new gear and chew more stuff up. So with my expert machining technique, I'm going to take this little screwdriver, fold the emery cloth over, and work that corner a little bit to get that divot smoothed out. Because the big thing here is I don't want to take too much out of the sides so we don't have some loose clearance. I just want to get that smooth. All right, so that guy is all cleaned up and it turned out pretty nice for just a little hand jobber. Now we just got to set the gear in there and check our clearance. Still fairly tight. So that's our 7 thousandths feeler, and we can't get her in there. Let's step down. See if a 3 thousandths goes in. So 3 goes in there. 4 is tight. Try 5 here, if I can find it in here. And 5 does not go in. So that right there is some fantastic news. The 4 is able to slide all the way around quite tight. The 5, I got one spot I can get it in, but other than that, we are in good shape, I believe. The tolerance is 7 thousandths, so we are within that. This cover should be good. Thankfully, it was just minorly chooched, but savable. Sasha's quite thrilled as well. Now we're just gonna pop the front crank seal out, get all the RTV cleaned up, then give her one last bath in the ultrasonic cleaner. So I went ahead and bought a pile of these cafeteria trays from an auction. I think it'll be perfect for this. It's even the right Land Rover color, but I figured it'd be awesome for peeling this stuff off and keeping a little bit of fluid from going everywhere. Little mini tear down trays. I already have a pile of these gray tubs, so those will complement them. I think a bigger one of these might be in order at some point. We're gonna have to do the cover twice, but we have our hardware there, drying off, do the cover, flip it, do the cover again. Look at that, that time of year, we got some winter tires out. But now that we got some more parts for the old Defender, we gotta run some to powder coat. I guess I could have did that while I was waiting, but I didn't. We got Sasha loaded up, but we're gonna make a trip to the post office and the powder coater, get the tank and some of the brake stuff for the Defender all nice and new. Sasha, you ready to go? Now that we dropped the stuff off and cleared out some room in the back, Sasha decided she didn't want to be up front with me. Feeling the love. There we go. This guy is nice and clean looking now. Ready to throw back together. Our relief valve is all cleaned up and back in there. Cover's all clean, port's blown out. Time to install our oil pump gear, and like every Land Rover needs, a case of Vaseline jelly, or if you're generic like me, petroleum jelly. So we're gonna get the gear in and then pack it full of that. All right, so we set the outer ring in first, then we bust out the Vaseline, and what we're doing with this is packing the gear so we have instant prime and we don't run this thing without oil, because that's probably how we got into this position. Set that guy in. So what that does is pack the gear and create suction instantly off the pickup tube, so the pump has something to actually pull against, and everything will be lubricated very quickly. Somewhat under the impression that the Range Rover sitting for a few months, all the oil drained out of the pump and it was unable to suck back up, damaged this gear, and with it chewed up, it couldn't create enough suction to pull itself out of that bad situation. So this should make it go right away. These lunch trays are pretty handy, but we got the pump all ready to go, front cover all cleaned up, new gasket. Let's toss this guy on. All right, so this is all cleaned up, ready to slam, cover back on. Look at that fancy front cover back on there. We're coming right along. Now we just need to go to the parts department and grab front crank seal, new water pump gasket, and an oil pan gasket. Normally not a big deal, but with my chaotic mess of stuff laying everywhere, the parts are in a different building. So let's go make the trip. Pit stop to get some sparklators. Got an E39 540 in the 6-speed variety at the house. We gotta get running right again. All sorts of variety of stuff going on at the old Lost Cause Ranch. Did an oil change yesterday. Spark plugs in the BMW. Build a shop, oil pump, powder coat, whatever. There's a Social Security building there. Maybe now that I'm retired, they can give me a hand. So one more top secret location with another mess of stuff. Most of this will hit the shop at the ranch at some point in time. There's our C10 that's all laid out, coil over front, Little Bros 240Z. You guys remember the Kalahari. Back in here is what we're after. A little dark, but we have our Land Rover parts in a Land Rover. Quite fitting if you ask me. Race car stuff. Random Defender axles, plenty of winter wheels. Got one slight issue though. I thought I had the earlier cork gasket, but that's like a D2 one there. So may have to order one for the Range Rover. Well, isn't that something? I guess I should have looked here first. I already had an oil pump gear. So snag 2 of the 3 pieces we need. I'll have to order oil pan gasket. Had the wrong one. There's that Callaway 4.6 we have around. I always like coming to this particular one because I find all sorts of neat stuff I forgot about. This guy's pretty sweet. Vortec 350. Got T56. Got C10 with coilovers and whatnot up front. 327. Short box. I really do need to pare down on the amount of stuff we have. I'd like to not have this building full of anything in the near future, so I'll limit my hoarding. Well, since I screwed up and thought I had the oil pan gasket, instead I just had these 2. That is where we're gonna leave off on this one. You guys will see on next week's video whether or not we have oil pressure in the Range Rover. In the meantime, I'll get the rest of this slapped together. No sense in wasting your time. We get that camper rolling again. Next up on the chopping block is back on the LS3 Defender. And we're gonna rock and roll through this thing now that we have stuff here. I'm excited. I know you're excited. Appreciate you guys watching. As always, we will catch you on the next one. Stay tuned. We got Defender stuff back coming in the works. What do you guys think of all the stuff I have laying around? I got another storage building full of the G4 interior stuff and miscellaneous ARB bumpers and whatnot. Then Ted's got more of the stuff at his house, and obviously I got a mess going on here. Do I need to get rid of some of the stuff?